Let's see. Oh no, it's recording.
Well, because it's Zoom, it's going to save it to the cloud
Yeah,
on your
well, I'm
Zoom
pretty
account.
sure my cloud is full too. Don't judge me,
Oh,
okay?
you get
Okay. Pretty sure.
you and Zoom got a lot going on today.
We have a love-hate relationship, me and Zoom. Like sometimes I be on it, girl, it just be going. And then sometimes I don't know, like today,
It's just
Tuesday, it was working just fine. I
okay.
did mental health first aid training, instructor training.
Yeah,
So I'm a
yeah.
certified instructor now. Tuesday, nope, just so I'm not sure what's going on. And I was trying to use my little girl's laptop, but she was like, no, I keep getting kicked off the internet. I done reset the modem. I done restarted the computer. I done asked the ancestors, just let me get through it. And it's just not working for me. So I don't know how to save. So typically the thing that makes this glorious is I can share it on Facebook and people can watch us on Facebook.
I think the only other option would be, well, because it's Zoom, is just to do a Facebook Live if you wanted to do that. That's up to
Um,
you.
I mean, because again, I'm having technology issues, so
So it's gonna be shaky.
it's gonna be shaky regardless. Because my laptop, um, we're not loving each other right now. We're not making love right now. Me and my laptop.
Let's see.
We're not enemies, but we're not making love.
And see, it needs to be on your page, sharing from your page. So that's the other
I'm trying to
thing
pull up
too.
Facebook, but again, it's just giving me the little rolling circular thing. And I don't know if it's my laptop or if it's the internet connection at my house.
It's probably sounds like it's the internet connection if it's doing a little circle.
Okay, so all right, here's my page. My page can come up. Now we're gonna try. I'm gonna try this now. The world gonna
Okay.
see whether this is a flop or not. But I have faith. Everything's gonna work out. Even if we just end up having our conversation and then recording it later for people or posting it later for people to watch.
That's fine, whatever you want to do. I'm game.
What I want to do is I want my Zoom to work like it's supposed to work. I pay good money for this thing now.
So I'm on your page, so just to see if it actually shows up.
And see, it shouldn't be taking this long on my laptop. So, oh, okay. Here we go. This is my page. Because me and Tiffany did it on the Facebook Live, it just didn't. It didn't turn out the way
I
I
don't care for. Yeah, I honestly don't care for Facebook Live all that much because.
I'm not a fan. That's why I started doing the Zoom. I'm like, the Zoom just looks better. It's cleaner. I don't have to worry about all of that mess. But I really enjoy people being able to see us live while we talking. Because okay, so I'm gonna do one more thing, and if it don't work, then we're just gonna go ahead and carry up the conversation, and now I'll load it up to both of our pages.
That's fine.
Okay, let's see. Okay. connect streaming software to go live. What does that even mean? What do you mean connect streaming software to go live? I always go live. I literally teach classes live on Facebook. Why is it telling me that? Mm, I'm not understanding what's going on right now. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a deep breath and I'm gonna calm
Okay.
the nerves.
Well, I done started playing one of the videos. Hold on. How do I come out there? Okay. I'm over here pressing buttons. Okay. There we go.
Close this because the more I look at it, the more I pay too much money for this internet, but the interwebs do not be working the way they're supposed to be working. But anyway, so all right, we are 15 minutes into this thing and I've been having technical difficulties, but that's okay. We're gonna make it do what it do.
Yes, it is.
Hear me clear? Do you see my whole body or
Yep, from here, torso. Yep.
okay? All right, so we are going to do the recording and post it to the interwebs at some point. I'm gonna probably email it to you
Okay.
because I don't know if my interwebs is gonna be working tonight. We got to go make love. Me and this computer got to go make some love tonight.
Figure out what's
So
going on. Yeah.
just figure out what's going on. Obviously, we're not communicating well, and it's interfering with our ability to move on in this relationship, in this hard work relationship. So,
Right.
but anyway, let's go ahead and get this party started, honey child.
Okay.
Good evening to everyone who is watching on the replay since we are not live tonight. It is me, Toya, with our Thursday evening heart work. As you know, every Thursday at 8:30 p.m., I come on and introduce the people on my friends list and my family and whoever can watch to all of my dope ass friends. Okay, so I'm very excited about today. I know I say I'm excited every week, but I'm always excited because I absolutely love my dope ass friends. And I can't wait for you to meet my sister from another mister, Tamara. Hey, honey child.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank
How are
you for having me on. I appreciate
Thank
this.
you. I appreciate you coming on. I know you were busy. So I thought I was busy. Ma'am, you be in these streets.
I be in these home streets. I ain't been out in the streets. I ain't been out in the streets for the past year. We just at the house working.
Working hard, working hard. So for the people who don't know who you are and what it is that you do, can you take a minute to introduce yourself, who you are, tell us a little bit about all the things you be doing in these home streets?
Oh, okay. I do a lot, so I'm gonna try to summarize this. Well, first of all, my name is Tamara Houston, and I am the owner, CEO, lead therapist of Renewal Life Counseling in Greenville. Our practice location is in Greenville, but we serve the entire state of South Carolina. And I also have like a consulting business on the side. I don't talk about that often, but it's called Houston Consulting, and I don't talk about it often because I primarily work with private practice owners, so it's very niche specific. So most of that is just kind of word of mouth, but I stay booked and busy on that side. But Renewal Counseling is a multi-provider practice. I guess I kind of consider it like a training ground because I've had different, therapists and providers come and go and everything because of the type of business model that I have. It's not really set up for like W-2 as contract workers. So that's a good thing for me because I don't care to micromanage. I just want people to come in, do your job and go home. And so that works well. But we provide mental health services that can be individual, family, couples. We kind of do a gamut of it all. I say as a group, we're pretty eclectic in our approaches and trainings and specialties and all. But yeah, we provide mental health services and we're doing our thing. Right now we're hybrid. So we're doing both virtual and some in office. I'm not in office as much as the other providers are. But I also have, I call them my virtual kids. So I have two students here at home. So we are kind of winding down the year and getting excited about summertime. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I do a whole lot of other stuff outside of that. So I do have like just running the business, and I have, of course, my own caseload that I manage as well. I do a lot of community presentations and facilitating with organizations. I actually contract with organizations to go in and provide organizational trainings and doing critical incident work. So that looks like if there's a layoff, a robbery, a death, or something like that organization, I may be called in to come in and just kind of help the management leadership maneuver through that process. So yeah, I do quite a bit. I do a good bit of consulting and all kind of stuff. So I'm all over the place, and but I like being all over the place. That's why I chose this field, to be quite honest with you, because I like to kind of dibble and dab in a lot of different things. So I definitely get the opportunity to do that. So yeah, that's
Okay,
much.
so you got one major thing that you do.
What is that? What? Oh, what did I forget?
You gonna forget behind the lyrics.
Oh, decoding the lyrics. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Decoding
yeah,
the
yeah.
lyrics.
So
Yes, decoding the
yeah,
lyrics.
okay. So decoding the lyrics, that is a fun thing that I do. Actually, Tarika Pearson is another one of your dope ass friends. And
Yeah.
actually, I want to say she just posted this. So I think it may have been like 2018. She reached out to me, and she has a Take Care of the Complete You series, where typically it's kind of like a monthly thing where she has different speakers come in, and it's really about like just holistic care, hence Take Care of the Complete You. So all, different parts. And I did, I think it was her second event, and I did my signature talk on really like holistic care, wellness, which is kind of moving away from the medical model of wellness to doing exactly what her hashtag is, taking care of the complete you. So it was a really good fit. And then sometime later, she reached out to me and asked if I would be a guest to like decode the lyrics. So looking at using music as a platform, so a song, and kind of pairing that with mental health to have a discussion about whatever the mental health topic was. And it was intended to just be a one-time thing. We had so much fun with that. She was like, well, what if we kind of did this on a monthly basis? So we've been, geez, I'm trying to think, we're going into finishing out our first year, I
It's been
guess.
about
And yeah, and we've talked about all kinds of stuff: depression, relationships, grief. We just finished a series on grief. And we normally do that every third Wednesday of the month at 8 o'clock. Every once in a while, we have to have our little, mommy breaks or whatever, because we believe in self-care. So that happens sometime that we don't have that, but you can go to Facebook and check out that page. It's called Decoding the Lyrics. And you can go on there and join and see all of our recordings on there that we've done, and just other information that we've been able to share. So yeah, that's a fun one. That's a fun thing that I do.
what I love about that is I don't know hardly any of the songs y'all be picking. None of the songs.
I don't either. That be Tarika. Cause I had time, I'd be like, I haven't heard this in a long time, or I forgot about this song. But that's always the interesting thing about it, is I intentionally don't, like, she'll pick out a song and I won't listen to it, like, because I want it to just kind of be very natural and just what my first impression of the song, what the message is in regards to that mental health issue. And we're really just using it as a vehicle. Like, we have no idea what was going on with the artist or the writer or whatever, but we're just using it as a way to introduce, right, these mental health issues that are plaguing and just need to be talked about more in our communities. And definitely music is a vehicle. I look at that as like a universal language for sure, for us to be able to have those discussions. So I think it's been really good, from what I can tell, as far as the the information you get on the back end. Like, people, they're watching it, they're looking at it. So it's like hundreds of views and all that stuff. So I know that people are watching them, and I hope that they're watching it and then taking it into their different social systems or whatever, and having more conversation about it. So that's really the intent, just to kind of get people talking about mental health. So yeah.
I love it. I just want to be in a room when y'all talking. I always be like, "Ooh, I should be there. I should be in there with y'all."
I was telling her the last time I forget what we were talking. We were talking about grief for sure, and you had made a comment about like your military experience and stuff. And when we got off, I said to her, I was like, we have to like do like when we get together, because we're doing this virtually now. Where before we would meet at my office most times, and so she and I would be together. So it's really a different energy. Like, it's good when we can get together. So I'm looking forward to us getting back to that, where we can meet and have our little girl time. That's what I call it, because we be tripping. Really, when we get together, we be tripping.
I gotta be there. Y'all having too much fun without me. That's what I be saying.
Yeah. So decoding the lyrics, that's another thing that I do. That's really the fun side. I think that, and writing, because I've been doing a little bit more of that here lately. I have oh gosh, last year got an opportunity to participate as a writer, one of 15, in an anthology. And honestly, I remember distinctly going into that process, and and I was telling one of the other authors that I was not interested in writing. Like, we were just having a general conversation at a conference, and I was like, that's not anything I've ever thought about doing. I like to write, but I just never thought about doing it, to be published and stuff. And then right after that conference, and this was right, like literally, I went to the conference that Sunday, the schools and stuff shut down. So it was, just a whole lot of transition taking place. So the coordinator of the conference reached out to some of us, hey, like, let's like take this a step further. And so I actually, I'm really proud of this, because the title that I came up with was picked for the book, because it's called Fortitude. So it was really, the entire conference was really just about just being able to persevere in leadership, and kind of some of the things that get in the way, and different perspectives in how to move through that. And so that was another opportunity for me to share one of my signature talks there as well, about wellness. So that was good. So I got a little something in there in the book there, and yeah, so.
What I've learned so far in this conversation, in the past 10 minutes we've been talking, is I need to create a signature song, because you didn't say a signature talk about 3 times.
Yeah,
So
you do, absolutely.
Signature something first.
That's the thing. Well, I think you have one already. My dope ass friends.
I'm gonna tell. Oh wait, I'm gonna tell you about that. I'm gonna tell you about that, child.
Okay.
My dope ass friends, y'all, girl, wait till I tell you. But another thing that I'm learning is, I didn't know you had a whole book out. Where's your book? Where's my copy? I want my autograph.
So, okay, so this is what I decided. It's so interesting, because when we started decoding the lyrics back up in January, and I think at that time were we talking about doing the grief series? I can't even remember what we were talking about at that time. But Tarika and I, like, normal, when we get off of the call, sometimes we will end up calling each other and be on the phone for hours, right? So we were just talking, and I remember just kind of sharing with her that the space that I'm in right now was, and this was back in January, but the space that I was in at that point, I was like, based off of everything that happened in 2020, like, I'm very much a go-getter, and I'm kind of waiting on somebody to tell me I can't do something, right? And 2020 helped me to put a lot of stuff into perspective in terms of the things that I was connected to. things that I was connected to that I wanted to be connected to, and things that I was connected to that I did not want to be connected to. And because there was a pause put on everything, I just had an opportunity, just like I share in my practice, to tell people to like just take inventory of the landscape, like what you got going on around you, right? And while there's a lot of, I think, negative things that came out of 2020, things that, are not really the highlights of our lives, right? But for me, some of the good things that came out of it is being able to be at home, being able to spend more time specifically with my girls. That's been a good thing. It's been a hard thing, but it's been a good thing for me to be able to do that. But also just slowing down, because I do remember that, especially my middle daughter would say to me quite often, like, Mama, you work too much. Like, you know what I mean? And that's kind of one of my things, like doing too much,
Yeah.
and she was like, 2019 going into 2020, she would like frequently, I remember her saying that to me, like, why do you work all the time? Because I was working all the time, like going on vacation, working, like just doing crazy nonsense, really,
Too much,
and
doing too
so
much.
too much. And so I was really at that space where I was like, okay, it's New Year 2021. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions, but I do tend to have like a some ideas around things that I want to move forward. And I'm just like, if I don't finish it, then I'm okay with that, but I at least have things that I want to get started. And I came into 2021 not having those thoughts at all, because what I realized to be the priority is me, and that I needed to just take more opportunity to really focus on me. And the goals that I set for myself were more so around my health and my spirituality. That is where I needed to be, because I had been broke down in so many other, spaces. And over time, it was just like, those are two areas that I know that I have really been neglecting. And if I'm out here talking to people about holistic care and wellness, like, I'm being a hypocrite because I'm not doing the same things, right? So I really needed to get back to me and what was important to me, and I had to start there. And so that's what I did. Finance was one too, and although that it wasn't like a financial struggle, it was just trying to get everything together. Like, I just had so much stuff going on. It's like, you know what I mean? You got streams of income, you paying for this over there, you paying for that. And it's like, is this really making things easier for me? Are these things that I need to delegate or I need to learn on my own and do? Like, I needed to get all of that together to see, what do you really have coming in and what do you have going out, right? I had to clean it all up. I had to clean it all up. That was business and personal. I had to clean it all up. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity. So my conversation with Tariq at that time was just about, yeah, there's a lot of things that I want to do, but I know that right now the priority is I need to focus on me. I need to wait until my kids are out of school, because I'm not a teacher. I teach adults, okay? But this,
Right.
Tamara Cohesive was not built for this. This is not my ministry. And I learned that too. This is not my ministry. So I'm doing what I need to do to get through and try to be as present as I can for my children and help them where they are, because it's an adjustment for them as well. So I'm doing that. I need to stay present in that, right? I don't need to be adding on, okay, well, you want to work on this book, you want to work on this project and start this other stream of income and all that kind of stuff. Just come on. You know what I mean? Like, just the main thing need to be the main thing. And that's what I had to get back to. So I have things that are on my mind, things that I've had, an opportunity kind of to think through and write down. So it's coming, but it will all come in due time. And I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, child, when it comes to the school thing, my child does not like school. And I don't like school either, but I'm
Mm-mm.
a mom. And so we both decided, COVID or not, you going back to school next year.
Okay.
COVID
Okay.
or not, you going back to school. And even though we both are like, it's a whole pandemic outside, we're both like, yeah, this whole at home school thing, we not about that life. Like we
It
are
ain't the
not,
business.
it
Mm-mm.
is
It ain't the
not.
business. Mm-mm. Like, and we'll just do the things we need to do to keep you safe. You know what I mean? Because I was like, either y'all going back to school or I'm going back to school. Somebody going to school. So you pick
Nobody wants
which one you want. Because I will sign up and be at somebody's building because I can't. Mm-mm. It's just it ain't in me. It ain't in me, you know. But I think we needed we needed something, you know, and I would never wish, you know, this pandemic on anybody, on us. I wouldn't wish it was this to this magnitude, that it had to be this thing. But I do think that we needed something to put a pause on life and help us to get back to the basics. I've definitely seen that in practice. Um, the issues that are coming up, and the things that people are saying that brought them to this place of like, I broke down, or I now have this awareness that I didn't have before. Because before the pandemic, you could really just avoid whatever was going on because you got to go to work. You know, I ain't got time to deal with it. I ain't got time, you know what I mean? Or you got whatever, you know, going on. And so there were so many opportunities to avoid. There were so many you know, opportunities to just be distracted intentionally, like, you know, something that's going on, but I'm just not gonna deal with it. So there was a lot of that going on. And I'm not saying that it's not present still, but I'm seeing more of a shift toward people really paying more attention to their mental health, which, by the way, you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So um yeah, do all the things you need to do to take care of your mental health. Mental health is health. Okay. So
right.
yeah, so I saw that in practice too. I saw that in practice. So I'm like, I want to come out of this better. I want the people that I serve to come out of this better. And I can't give somebody something that I don't have. So like I need to do my work too. Yeah.
Well, but now we're gonna get into doing the work because that's what hard work is really about. You know, all
Yeah.
my dope ass friends, and a lot of my dope ass friends are your dope ass friends too. So our circles,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
coincide. You know, we
Right.
talk the same talk, we do the same type of stuff. But before we get into maybe in Mental Health Month and you as a Black therapist and a counselor, and how our community has been impacted, not just by COVID, but by,
Right.
you know, all the things Black folks
Hmm.
be going through. We skimmed over the whole how did we
Yeah.
meet thing.
Yeah, we did. So we were talking about that. So this is what I remember is that we have another friend in common, Equator Kennedy.
Okay.
And I don't know your history with her. I just know that y'all were friends. And she was asking to use my upstairs space in my office for one of her business ventures that she was expanding, and she was having a meeting for that. And I think now that I'm thinking about it, like I saw you like connected to other people, and I
Yeah,
thought, oh,
yeah,
she's neat. But you know what I mean? Like I just be on the periphery just observing the life, you
yeah.
know. So when you came in that day, I just remember us having a very long conversation. In fact, I think it was Mental Health America had, it was some fundraising thing that they had going on, like a big fundraising thing. You were a part of that somehow.
Yeah.
And I was also serving on one of the committees. So we started talking about that. And so, yeah, yeah, and now like I'm remembering which office we were in. We were in that second office. So now it's all, no, we were in the third office. We were in that third office. So now all of this is coming back to me now.
I remember.
Yep, you were sitting in the chair with the big bag. So yeah. So we
I remember.
ended up having a long conversation about that. And I know that you were also at the time kind of thinking about doing some expansion with a business venture of your own. So we're talking, had a conversation about the upstairs space and maybe utilizing that at that time. So that's how that was our first, I think, face-to-face conversation that I recall. Yeah.
Okay.
And that
Okay.
was, geez,
That was a long time.
2018. Yeah, I think that was that 2018? It may have been 17. It may have been 17.
I think it was 17.
Probably because I think I was in that office space for 2 years. So it's probably 2017.
I think it was 17. And what I appreciated about you from day one, you didn't shy away from me saying, "Oh, I like you. We're gonna be friends." You didn't shy away from me. You've always been, because we tried to connect on different business ventures and things few times, and it just wasn't written in the cards for us to work together.
Absolutely.
But you've always been very open with your knowledge, always been very, what I got, I'm gonna give it to you. However I can support you, I'm gonna support you. If I got the time or the energy or the resources, it's yours. And that's one thing that I really have always appreciated about you. And you are hilarious and
I am. Listen, that's crazy because I think that I think I'm super funny. Like amongst my close-knit friends, like I'm the crazy one. I guess people would not think that about me, but I've always said this about myself. Like if I need to be able to make myself laugh. And I remember growing up, like I would do things like make faces and like I will, I had, anyway, I would make faces. I would do like different speaking voices and stuff. And I would just laugh at myself. Like I think that's important. And at that time, of course, I didn't relate it to mental health, but for me, that's a part of me having, good mental health is I need to laugh. I like to be around people and laugh. Right.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert. So I
don't believe, because every time I've been around you and that we just be talking and kikiing and we get loud. I'm like, introvert well.
Yeah, because I can cut it on when I need to, but my time is very important to me. Like I can like probably when we get off, I'm going to bed. Cause this is it takes a lot. Like the only way I can describe, I've never worked in a meal in a plant before, but like I think about how tired somebody must be when they worked a 10, 12-hour shift. That's how I feel, right? So it's just important for me to refuel. That's what it is. It's not that I don't like the company of other people. I love the company of other people, but I also have equitable value in being able to just have my time by myself, just doing me. And that could be just sitting there looking at the wall, but I'm okay with that because it's just me doing me.
I'm completely opposite, child. I think like after this, I'm gonna be hyped for about an hour and a half, like just hyped, just bouncing off the wall. So what COVID did for me is it gave me the appreciation for, taking time and being still. Because just like you, I had multiple jobs. I was working at Goodwill. I was working at the YMCA. I was teaching at a yoga studio. I was all over the place doing the most. And when before I got laid off, we had to reduce our hours. And so I was home trying to work from home, trying to help my kid with schoolwork, but it gave me a perfect opportunity to realize that I was busy, but I wasn't productive or effective or efficient with my time. So, what I figured out how to do, and I'm still growing into it, is how to be more productive with my time. But what I do know is, hard work was born out of that time.
Absolutely.
This show was born out of this time. And that was because I think it's really important. And you've known that I'm a big fan of mental health education from day one.
The day one.
And it's important for me to make sure that people that look like you and me get rid of that stigma behind mental health. It's important
Absolutely.
that we talk about all the things that we can do to grow from a personal, spiritual, professional place. And it all ties back to mental health. And I'm curious, one, I got two questions for you. First question
Mhm.
is, how did you end up being a counselor therapist? And two, what are some of the things that you've noticed within the Black community as far as either getting help or not getting help, and how much has changed over the past few years when it comes to us in therapy?
Okay. So the first question, how did I get into this area? Okay, so I'll say this. First of all, I didn't want to be a therapist. That was never on my radar. That was never on my radar. Never. Never on my radar. I'm very and I think this works on both ends. Like the way I think, I'm really analytical about. I'm a thinker, right? So things that make sense to me are numbers, are problem solving, is hearing an idea and making that come to fruition. So
Mm,
when I went into social work, I chose social work because I knew that I wanted to, like I said, dibble and dabble in different things. But my focus was actually community empowerment and program development. So it was
mm,
nonprofit work, grant writing, that type of stuff. That was my intention, that I was going to start some big business or whatever, helping the community. Like that's what I was going to do. At the same time, I had a strong oh gosh, I will the strong pull to hospice, right? And I think it was because during that time, like going into grad school, I lost two aunts and my great grandmother, like months apart from each other. And like I said, I'm an observer, so I'm it really brought to the forefront to me how the family dynamics, how people just behave around death and dying. So I really had like this strong pull to hospice. And so when I was in grad school, I wanted to do, my program was this, which was a macro practice. But what I wanted to do my practicum in was a micro practice because I wanted to work in hospice. And they told me no, it didn't coincide with each other. So I did some other things, like now the Medicare Part D program that we're familiar with. I worked on the pilot program in Georgia. So before there was a Medicare Part D, there was a plan where we had to go out and help people enroll in their prescription assistance cards and all that stuff. So this was through the area agency on aging. So I learned a lot. I just, that was right up my alley, but I also had this desire to do this hospice thing too. And what happened was a family friend of my grandmother said to me, "You'll never be able to work in hospice. Like, it's too hard." And that's all I need. That's all I needed to hear. So it was that would have been like 2002, 2003. I went into hospice in 2006. And I was scared because I did not have any I didn't know what it like. I didn't know what I was supposed to do as a social worker. I just knew, one, somebody told me I couldn't do it, and I've just always had this strong pull to it. So either way, I worked there. That's actually where I say that was my training ground. I worked in hospice for 8 years. Loved hospice. If I ever retire from private practice, I'm going back to hospice. That's just how much it's on my heart. Like, yeah. And from that's where one of my specialties came from, grief and bereavement. I love grief and bereavement. When people talk about what can you talk about in 30, 45 minutes, an hour without preparing, grief and bereavement would be one of those things for me. So I went through that process. So I guess the cliche thing about this would be, I would have to say it was divine intervention that I went into therapy, because all of my mentors at that time were, I'll say, were more seasoned than I was. I went into hospice very young, um, and just in learning, they had been in hospice much longer than I have. 20, 30 years my senior, maybe 40 years my senior, some of them. And so, but they were my mentors though, and I still appreciate all of them to this day. And they're still very supportive of me. But within that group, many of them were saying to me, "Oh, well, you should, why don't you go into to private practice?" And I was like, "No." I don't know that I was saying this out loud, but I was definitely having this conversation with myself. I was thinking, one, I'm Black, I'm young, because I was like in my early 20s. I was like 20, 24, you know what I mean? 23, 24 when I went into hospice. So over that time, people not getting younger, even though I was there for 8 years, I'm still thinking like I'm young. My idea of a therapist was, because in the social work program, we weren't taught about private practice. So my idea of what a therapist was somebody older, somebody much more seasoned that had all, but I guess the thing about me is I've always presented very wise. Like my grandmother said, like I act like an old woman, so I've always had that piece in me, and just common sense. I've always had common sense.
Yeah.
Don't mean I didn't do stupid things. I just had common sense. You know what I mean? I had common sense though. And so all of that combined, what happened was, it was on my birthday that one of my mentors, we would meet every month, and she said to me that there was a psychiatrist that was looking for another provider. And I think she gave me his number. I can't remember exactly. And so she was like, you should call him. And I was like, and still just kind of that self-doubt thing. Well, anyway, fast forward maybe like a month later, I remember I was in the bathroom, I had these pants on, I put my hand in my pocket, and a piece of paper that his number was on, like I pulled that out. And at this point, like, you might have a lot going on. I was in school. I had just started a job, um, another job, and I was just like, in whatever. So I said out loud, I was like, you know what, God, if this is meant to be, like, you're gonna make it happen. And I threw the number in the trash can. I threw the paper in the trash can. That Saturday, I'm headed somewhere. I get in the car. I never answer my phone if I don't know the number right. For whatever reason, phone ring, I pick up. This is on a Saturday. I pick up the phone. He says, "Hey, is this Tamara? This is Dr. Such and Such." What? I was like, hold on for a minute. I was like, okay, God. Really? You know what I mean? So I got, back on the phone with him, and we're talking, and he's saying, "Hey, Nancy is my mentor." So he was like, "Nancy was telling me about you, da 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 da." He's just talking, he's going on telling me about the practice and stuff. And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, are you interested?" Because he wasn't really asking me about me. He was telling me about the practice. I said, "Well, would you like for us to meet for like an interview, or would you like for me to tell you a little bit more about my experience?" And he was like, "No, she told me everything I need to know. When you want to come to the office and check it out?" Okay. Well, like the next week, I showed up to the office, and that was it. That's how I got into it. So I started out doing contract work at a psychiatrist practice. I did that for 3 years. Some things happened there, as they always do. And I learned more about myself and what I was more interested in as far as my niche. And it wasn't really compatible with what he was doing. And so from there, I ended up learning every aspect of private practice, because again, I was not familiar with private practice, like what it take to even started up. So working in hospice, I did mobile, like we went into clients' homes. So I said, hey, well, I can go to clients' homes and just provide the services there. So that's what I did. I did that for a year. I did not know how to bill. Like I wasn't fully credentialed with any insurance company or anything. So I didn't know how to do that, but I knew that with the demographic that I wanted to serve and the insurance that they had, I had a year to figure it out. So I just continued to do contract work, continued to work on my practice, building that mobile. I learned the credentialing, learned the billing. So I did not get paid for a year for the work that I did because I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to submit claims and do all that stuff. When I found out, I got paid, but I so but and that was cool too. All of that worked out. And I mean, the rest is history after that. Like I just worked the plan. And honestly, everything that my practice has became, even though I do consulting work, how I develop mine has really just been me listening to what I feel is God directing me, because I didn't know anything about a practice and I got a practice. I was wanting to just be solo. At least that's what I had in my mind. And somehow I ended up with a group. Like that was not my plan. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have those pieces together. I learned them along the way, but that was not my initial plan. So everything really that Renewal Life Counseling is today is through divine intervention. And that's just the truth. So
I love that. I love how it all falls into place. And I think the second part of the question is, how have you seen the mentality about mental health and therapy grow or shift in the Black community since you started to kind of where you are now? Because now Black folks is all about that therapy life nowadays, more so
for
than before.
sure. For sure. Absolutely. There's definitely been a shift. Oh gosh, this is complicated in a way because there's still some of that stigma,
Yeah.
that's there about kind of, like whatever happens in the home, stay in the home, not wanting to tell the full story, which the full story is important to be able to get the help that you need. But I've seen shifts in terms of like more men coming into therapy, especially more African American men. I think that's been probably one of the biggest things I would say, and at least in my practice anyway, because I mean I remember at the early stages having men, of course, calling and being really reluctant about the entire process. And of course, I think people want to, if they're going to share, be vulnerable in that way. They want to be vulnerable with someone that they feel can understand. Well, I'm not a man, right? And so kind of getting over that barrier of, well, how about if we just try it? How about if you use your EAP benefits, which will give you more flexibility, right? If you don't like me, if you don't judge or whatever, then I'll help you find somebody else, kind of thing. So, but I think the men are becoming more receptive to this idea of having this really kind of vulnerable dialogue with somebody, male or female, and sharing their stuff and just being open to that healing process. Because I think as much as we like to talk about being strong, I think what correlates to strength sometimes in our communities is really dysfunctional in terms of like holding on to hurt is strong. Like this happened 15, 20, 25 years ago and I'm still, you know what I mean? I'm still dealing with it on my own. That's not strength. That's not strength at all. It's toxic, right? It's poison, right? Because that's what's keeping us in business, because we don't deal with those things when it happens.
Right.
And the way the body works, it's easier get that, to give it a slight push, and to have to go in there with a bulldozer and dig that out just to get it moving.
Right. Right.
So the body can do what the body do, right? I've seen more shifts in couples work. I think that's been a really good thing. Now, just for the sake of transparency, I don't do as much couples work anymore. It's really exhausting to me. So I, the ones that are out here doing it, amen to you. But I was kind of like, I have those demographics that I'm like, I can have like 1 or 2 on my caseload, and that's it. Like I can't do much more. But I've seen more in that, like people just being open with like the family dynamics, which I think is really important. There's this stigma as well about like, well, whatever happens in your marriage, like don't bring nobody else in this or whatever. Or if we can't, if you and I can't fix it, then that's a problem, right? But you and I may not have the skills to fix it.
You better say it. We don't know nothing because our parents didn't have the skills.
Okay.
Or they had a very dysfunctional relationship.
Absolutely. They were just, whether it was resources that were not available to them, if it was just a being culturally ingrained in them, in our communities, whatever that was, it was just this notion that you just deal with you just stay with whatever it is, you just keep going, right? Because you don't split up, you know what I mean? And not saying that couples counseling is all about splitting up, but it may be about splitting in terms of splitting the issues so we can get rid of the dysfunction and keep the good stuff. It may be about that, right?
You better tell me.
So yeah, so I those would be like the two main the two main areas, men and couples. And I just think in general, like the utilization of therapy is just higher across the board. Anyway, we're having more dialogues about this, like platforms like this, like Decoding the Lyrics, stuff like that. And I'm of the notion that even though I'm a trained therapist, what I do know is it's very seldom that anybody comes into my office and they're asking me about my educational background or this, that, or now I'm going to practice within my scope of expertise. That's my responsibility. I'm not always expecting a client to come in and ask those questions. It would be nice if they would, so that they have more ownership, right? More accountability in what they're getting, have more control over that, for sure. But I think there are all types of helping professionals, right? All types of helping professionals. So for me, I like not only that people are seeking therapy, they're also going after these other type of therapies as well, right? They're doing coaching, they're doing yoga and meditation, and I mean, using essential oils. Like there's so much stuff out there that can help promote wellness in our lives, that, I mean, there's just a plethora of resources that I think people are, they're willing to be more experimental in those areas, which I think is a wonderful thing.
And what I didn't realize that the language in the therapy world was shifting, because when I left the military and I stopped being a drug and alcohol counselor, I kind of got away from it until recently. Now I ain't never been too far away from it,
right?
But doing that kind of work is very tiring. It can be very draining. I just needed to step away. But as I was going through my mental health first aid instructor training course, I didn't realize that the language around it was changing in some areas from mental health to mental wellness. And
right.
I was like, oh, we add in the wellness component, because if you're trained in yoga, mindfulness, meditation, any of those wellness modalities, you'll know as a therapist, it's a direct link. Like
there absolutely
so many parallels. So I learned diaphragmatic breathing, when I was in mental health. And then when I started doing yoga and meditation, they're talking about diaphragmatic breathing. I was like, oh, I know this.
Yeah.
understand, like
Absolutely.
that I know in the wellness world, it all ties back in. So I love the fact that you're um, reminding the people that there's so many different types of ways to get your mental health or mental wellness tools. But I want
Absolutely.
you to talk a little bit about EAP because
Okay.
now that in the work that I'm doing, there's still a lot of people who don't have the ability to afford specialty care like mental health, a therapist or a psychiatrist. Um, but a lot of people sleep on EAP. Can you talk a
Oh,
little bit
yeah.
about EAP and how beneficial that can be and what it is?
Absolutely. So EAP stands for Employee Assistance Program or Plan. And how that works is if you have a job as an employee, your employer may contract with an outside company that will pay for a variety of different services. And brief solution focused therapy is one of those services. People may be more familiar with that, like if they are moving and they need, assistance with finding housing or childcare or assisted living for a family member or something like that. A lot of those services tend to be in that too. So the EAP company can be like a ton of different services that are being offered, but the counseling portion of it, the correct term for it is assessment and referral, because it is so brief that what the clinician is doing is they're doing an assessment, kind of looking at the bigger picture and helping that client to determine maybe some short term like practical solutions for that, and what is the next step for them, because what the EAP pays for is not going to be typically it's not going to be like 4, 5, 6 months worth of services. It's going to be 3 sessions, 4, 5, 6, something like that. And depending on how that clinician normally sets their schedule up, that client may be seen weekly, where if you're being seen weekly, that's not going to last a very long time. So it's not really a lot of opportunity for you to work on several different issues. Some people do come in, they have several different things. You're able to provide them some quick coping skills for that and move on to the next thing. But typically how that process works is you're going to come in, see the clinician, and still do the same thing as far as talk about what you to these services, what brings you to counseling now. And I tend to like ask them like, just give me a list of all the things, like tell me everything. And then we can determine from that list, let's prioritize that list. And then we can have a discussion about, well, with the number of sessions you have, what can we reasonably tackle within this amount of time? And then if you need to transition over to your insurance benefits or whatever, then you can do that. And that may be with me as a provider or with someone else. I think a lot of um, what prevents people from utilizing that service is because it is tied to the employer, but the piece that's missing is that it's confidential. So
Mm,
all I get from the EAP company, I never talk to the employer. There's no reason why I should talk to the employer ever. I have conversations with the EAP company. Now, the EAP company, and this is depending on the type of referral. If it's just a regular, referral, you've called in and said, I got anxiety, you can tell me, you can tell them whatever you want to. And then when you get to me, then you can say, I'm dealing with anxiety, right? You're
right,
just
right.
getting the authorization. So once that happens, the only thing I'm providing to the EAP company is your date of service, the invoice. That's all I'm providing to them. They don't get any like detailed documentation of anything that was discussed or anything. Now that's a basic referral. There are mandatory referrals, like mandatory management referrals, and that may be a referral that comes through because you may be at risk at losing your job, or there's some substance abuse issue going on or concern going on, and that needs to be assessed. And in that case, there's still no conversation with the employer. You are assigned a case manager with the EAP, and those discussions are held with that case manager there. So it's the provider's responsibility to have ongoing kind of conversations to update that case manager on your progress so that you can return back to work. That's the whole goal of EAP, to help you deal with whatever it is that's going on so you can go back to work and be productive.
But here's the thing, so, I spent my adult life, most of my adult life in the military, never even heard of EAP until I got out. Both the employers that I had, I felt like didn't really push EAP services.
They don't.
We didn't know, like I had no idea what it was and what I could do, and what kind of services, like, oh, my child, dropped out of high school, I need some help with my kid, enrolled in a GED program. I didn't know I could call EAP and EAP would give me a list of reasons. I didn't know that. So
they will do that.
How do we know that our employer has the EAP option? And two, how do we know that we can reach out to the EAP and what we can ask of them?
So really the main responsibility the main responsibility lies with the employer, really, to let you know what your benefits are. It's part of your benefits package. Like, they're paying an EAP company to provide this. It's not free to the company. They're paying for it. So whether you use it or not, they've already spent the money. It's actually a part of the benefit package. So it's the communication from the employer to the employee. However, an employee always needs to know what their benefits are. Like, what you got, what are they giving you in addition to your hourly pay? So I would just go to the HR and say, do we have an EAP company? That's all you need to say. You don't need to ask about, well, if I got this going on, can I call EAP about this? All HR needs to do is give you the number, give you the brochure, or whatever that is. There's no communication between them and the EAP company about what's going on with you or why you are calling in or not. And from there, you have your conversations directly with the EAP company. So it could be anything. If you're like, okay, my child is getting ready to graduate, we're trying to figure out, where can we go and look for scholarships and stuff. I tell people all the time, you have a whole secretary that can do this stuff for you, and it's free, and you can just call them and say, I'm getting ready to relocate and this is the area that I'm looking at. Can you get me a list of schools and the ratings, or can you get me a list of childcare? It's free. Like, you don't have to get online and research all of that. They'll do it for you. They literally, they're sitting there doing nothing else until you call. So, you know what I mean? It's that. So the EAP company is also the company that is going to, they also contract out the critical incident support as well. So that comes to the EAP. And sometimes the EAP company may contract that out to another company, because that may not be a service that they provide in particular. So there could be other companies involved in the mix, but you don't need to know all that. All you need is the number.
I just need somebody to help me. I just need somebody to figure out, my car broke down, I can't get to and from work. How do I get, resources to help me pay to get my car fixed? Like, I had no idea that they had like this ginormous list of resources and support and helping agencies, that I didn't even have to call a therapist. Like, it was almost like you said, it was short-term solution focused.
Absolutely.
They put me in the right direction. I think my frustration came in, it was talked about when I did my initial medical package, but nobody ever explained what that meant.
They don't. And I tell you what I end up doing. Well, first of all, we're on like 30 EAP panels, and all of them, we don't provide therapy service. We don't contract with all of them for therapy service. We do other things for them as well. But what I say to a client that I'm working with, especially if I see that it's something related to like job stress or whatever, part of in that assessment is trying to figure out, what type of environment are you working in? And of course, that's their perspective, but what type of resources are being offered to you? Because what I do know is, not only could you be getting this, somebody like me can also come to the organization and offer these type of trainings to the entire staff. right? That's the benefit. So I'll say to them, well, you should go to HR, you should talk to your supervisor about having somebody come in and talk about dealing with difficult people, or talk about stress during the holidays, or, whatever. Like, that's a resource for them. And I say it to them because, again, I don't have contact with the employer.
Got it.
So I have no reason at all to contact them. None. So I get this information to the client and have them pass it on.
And I think that's really good. And it's the reason why I love having my dope ass friends on, because y'all know so much stuff. Y'all just be educating the people. And it's important. And I say this all the time: mental health care, wellness, and the kind of things that we do on a regular basis should not be a rich person's luxury. It should not be limited to people who have money or people who have just been exposed, right? We need to be able to
Absolutely.
provide this to everybody who needs it, because that's how our community, especially the Black community, dealing with some of the
Absolutely.
we deal with, are going to heal and move forward.
Right, right.
So, it's already 9:45, child, and I know it's
That flew
getting
by.
late. It did fly by. And then good, we can get to the stuff I really want to talk about.
We'll have to do it again then. We'll do it again.
We're gonna have to do like a whole hard work round table.
Absolutely.
The hard work, decoding the lyrics, take care of the complete you, renewal
All of
life.
it. All of that. All of it. All of it, for sure.
So if you had to give some advice or encouragement or drop some knowledge for, I would say for women, because most of the people in my circle are women, and all at one point in time was having the same conversation. Girl, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed. And it was single people, married people, people with kids, people without kids, people with jobs, people who had their own businesses. Like, everybody seemed to be experiencing a collective kind of, even during and after the pandemic, or as we were coming out of it, a collective kind of stress to the weight of everything that happened, I would say, before the pandemic started. So what kind of
Absolutely.
advice would you give to the women and men, but the women out there who are too busy driving to get gas, right? Too busy right in them streets helping and taking care of everybody else, that they haven't taken the time to do the self-care, to find out about EAP, to get a therapist, just to go sit down somewhere. How do you encourage us to do that? And what resources are out there for us to look into?
Okay, absolutely. Geez, you ask me questions like that, and my mind just get to going. There's so much stuff. So I may ramble on, so you just stop me when we get to a certain point. So a couple of things I think. This is just like just a simple exercise, I think, for engaging in self-care, right? It's just make a decision to commit to about 15 to 30 minutes every day, right? To just doing some type of self-care activity. A resource to go to is the self-care wheel. I talk about that all the time, because it's a quick and easy resource. So that's what it is, self-care wheel. It came out of work around vicarious trauma. We can talk about that another time, but basically helping professionals, helping people, and because of that relationship, having some experience of trauma themselves. Okay. And so when you put that into the context of the general population, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. We're seeing things, we're experiencing things, like just all of this information is coming in, and we're in overload and trying to make it at the same time. So you can use that self-care wheel. Pick something off the wheel, like decide, okay, this week I'm going to focus on my emotional health. And what it is, it's a circle. It has wedges and it has all your parts, right, listed. And within each wedge, it has different ideas about things that you can do to support that particular piece of you. And just decide from one week to the next, I'm just going to rotate through this wheel, right? And I'm going to spend 15 to 30 minutes a day. Like, start there. There can be the starting point. If you don't got 30 minutes, do 15 minutes. But it's it really is important to have an opportunity to refuel, because what happens is we're like riding around here on E. And I'm
Girl.
like, are we really riding though? You know what I mean? We're just existing. It's being in that routine day in and day out. So we're really not living is the thing. And so these are some of the questions you can ask yourself, that am I really living? What did I experience? Because what that does, it helps to get you grounded in thought. Like, what did I just eat? And
Right.
what did that taste like?
What did I
Like,
just say to the cow?
what did I just say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To help you get grounded in thought in that particular experience. And the thing, don't nobody know you having this conversation with yourself, because guess what? You're talking to yourself all the time. There's always some kind of soap opera going on anyway. So why not replace that with something productive that's going to lead you to something that's valuable, instead of this hamster wheel? You know what I mean? Get off of that. Ask the questions that's going to help you get grounded. What did I just experience? What do I feel like? How do I know that I feel good? What tells me that what I'm feeling is good? There are answers to these questions, right? But the people outside of you can't answer that. You have to do it yourself. So I say start 15 minutes, one wedge, pick 2 things on there and just work that wheel, and just continue to do that. And from week to week, add on 5 minutes or something like that. Gratitude journaling is something I absolutely believe in. And a real simple exercise for that is just every day, at some point during the day, write down one thing that you are grateful for. So this is a thing called coloring your day. We can go on about all the bad things that happen, or get up and start the day and be like, oh, okay, it's raining outside, it's going to be a terrible day. Well, of course it's going to be a terrible day because you said it was. So everything that you're looking for is going to support what you said it was going to be. Okay, so break that up. Write down something that you're grateful for, and then guess what? At the end of the week, you got 7 things that you're grateful for, right? And that helps to set your intentions for the next week. These are simple, simple things that we can engage in to really help us get back on the right track. Last week or maybe week before last, because I think this is the biggest thing. I think we work with really the bulk of the same population, which is women, African American women, is working on our relationship with the word no.
Oh,
And
girl.
understanding that no is a complete sentence. It does not require explanation. It has an exclamation point, but it does not require explanation, right? You don't have to say yes to everything, and recognizing that every time you say yes to something, that you're saying no to something else, right? So another question, what am I saying no to? Because in most instances, while you up here picking up everybody's stuff, you're saying no to yourself. Like you end up being the sacrificial lamb, which is why you're walking around here looking crazy like a chicken with your head cut off, right? You're tired. You just don't look well. You don't look well. And it's because you're constantly saying yes to something that you have no business saying yes to. Work on your relationship with the word no, and allow that to be more intimate. We don't have to be so distant with ourselves. We're so concerned about our relationships with other people. Well, how's your relationship with yourself? Is it intimate? Because if it's not, you got a problem.
I love that. I make love to the word. Let's make love. Come on over
Okay.
here. I think what ties into the word no is a lot of times women will say no, and then we will attach a feeling of guilt to that no. And I always say guilt is a useless emotion. Like guilt is not beneficial when it stops being beneficial. But we'll do something just because
Absolutely. Right. And guilt applies that you did something wrong, and it's a bully.
guilt is a bully. I know I shouldn't
Okay.
even take Girl,
So you gotta, I mean, it's breaking that down because I mean, if the women that I were, I know me, just, you're not gonna tell me what to do, right? I'm going to show up how I show up, and it's not out of disrespect. It's not. It's none of that. It's me understanding that just because I'm Black and I'm a woman, that does not automatically equate to me being aggressive. I am assertive though. And that means that I have to be an advocate for myself, because nobody is going to advocate for me the way I am going to advocate for myself. Nobody will, right? And so, am I going to let a word boss me around?
no, we are not.
Okay, no.
Absolutely.
So it's a bully. So another question is, well, what did you do wrong then? Because it implies that you did something wrong. What did you? Because you chose to take a nap because you were tired from working and doing whatever else, and you didn't go pick up Sally Mae and whoever. What did you do wrong exactly? Because don't you need sleep? I'm confused.
Right.
Ain't your
Right.
feet tired? Didn't you work today? You know what I mean? Can't Sally Mae figure it out?
Well, but here's the thing. We've put ourselves in a position to where I'm the one Sally Mae always call, and I'm the one that's always, because my sister, my brother, my cousin, the people who live right around the corner from Sally Mae ain't doing it. But Sally Mae know when she called Toya, Toya gonna be come and get me, because Toya always been doing it.
Absolutely. And let's call things a thing, like Young will say then you are an enabler, and it's your fault. She quoted a book, and this, honestly, this is what, like, my signature talk. It was just kind of hearing these messages over and over again. There's a book called, oh my gosh, A Course
Which
in
one?
Miracles. It's
Okay, of
called
course.
A
Yeah.
Course in Miracles.
Love,
And
I love.
in that book, it says, this is not verbatim, but when you sacrifice of yourself to the point that you have nothing left to give, you make the other person a thief.
Yes.
You make them a thief. So for one, there's no accountability on their part. You're teaching them to take something that they have no investment in. They're taking it. So you're making thieves. These same people that you're saying you care about, you love, and you nurture, but you're making them thieves. Because what they learn,
they keep taking.
they keep taking. They keep taking. So they're a thief and you're an enabler. Let's be clear.
Let's be clear,
Right.
girl.
Because if you're walking around and say, oh, well, she ain't got nobody else, and she ain't. So now you're playing victim. Let's call it what it is. You're an enabler. Don't try to skirt around it to try to make it something that is not. Tell the truth.
And I'm glad that you said that, call it what it is, because when I was getting my finances together, and I'm still doing that, for business and personal, my financial coach said to me, he said, the reason why you're doing X, Y, and Z is because even though you don't want to, that's your comfort zone. So you automatically fall into this pattern of behavior because that's how you've always been.
It's
So
the
you say you
condition.
don't want to, right? You say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that way anymore. It doesn't serve me. But the ego, the self-protection part of me goes right back into that pattern of behavior without even recognizing it. I think it's similar to
Absolutely.
what you're talking about. I don't know I'm being a victim. I don't know I'm enabling, but I've always done it. No one's ever taught me how to not do that. So now I'm stuck at the age of 35, 45, 55 years old in this cycle and exhausted. And that's why I think that's why I wanted you to talk about some of the resources available and some of the things that we can do to help start breaking that cycle.
Absolutely. So I think as far as resources, again, we talked about EAP, and for me, what EAP, if if you are employed, that's really one of the bigger ones, I think, because it gives you options. For one, it doesn't make you automatically tied to any particular provider. You have the freedom to try it out, to try therapy out, to try a particular therapist out, to try different therapists that have that use different types of trainings, right? Because I do EMDR, somebody else may do DBT, somebody else may do CBT or whatever, so it gives you an opportunity to do that. And not everybody is going to encourage you to use EAP in that way. But my thinking is, if it's only 2% utilized, who cares?
Who cares?
You know
Y'all
what I
better
mean? You better
it.
use it, right? So that's one of the things. There are resources, free resources too. I would encourage anybody that's looking for a therapist. If you do not have insurance, so let's be clear about a lot of providers. Some are moving away from insurance for a number of different reasons, but doing your homework with that to make sure you know what your insurance covers. And that can be quick and dirty, just kind of calling your call number on the back of your insurance card and asking them, does my insurance cover mental health benefits? That's what you need to know. Write it down. And then that way, when you do find a provider, you can let them know, well, I called and this is what they told me. Right. You don't have to decipher all of that. We can help you to, understand what it is that they're telling you and how much you're going to have to pay or how much they're going to have to pay. But another option is, if you find a therapist, you don't have insurance, it's okay for you to ask if they offer a sliding scale or even pro bono. I don't have it, I don't advertise this. That I offer pro bono sliding scales or anything like that, but every provider in my office does. We've been doing that. They're clients that we've served, and something happens with their insurance or whatever, and there's no benefit. I'm held to certain obligations as well, ethically, to not just abandon a person. So, and it's my business. I can do what I want to. So if I want to see you for free, a sliding scale, I can do that if I want to, right? So those are things, but we're scared to ask for that. And I get in this season, we're hearing like everybody wants something for free or whatever. My thing is, you're never going to know until you ask, right? And if I say no, I can't right now, it's not because I don't want to provide you with the service. There's other reasons for that. All of my pro bono spots may be filled up, you know what I mean, or my caseload may be filled up. Another thing is reaching out to a therapist. Now, I know I'm just focusing on the therapy side right now, but reaching out to a therapist is asking, if they don't have availability, do they have a referral list? Or is there another provider that they know that has availability or something right now? For us, that's something that I offer. I know like what the specialty is for all of the therapists that I work with. And so that doesn't mean that everybody that calls in is going to be a good fit for one of the providers in the practice. So I maintain a referral list. And I also say to clients, like, if there's not somebody on this referral list that you like, I'll help you find a therapist. Like, give me the information, because it's easier for me to put a filler out there in a whole group of therapists than for you to call around to each one, right? So that's something that I can assist with as well. There are programs, what's the name of it? Emerge is I think their main office is in Spartanburg, but they now have an office at the University Center. They have a sliding scale as well. And I think their lowest rate may be like $5 or something. And so that would be another resource to check into as well. There's the Boris L. Henson Foundation, which is affiliated with Tyriji, what's the name? Tyriji, I'm not saying that.
Taraji Henson.
Taraji Henson. So I think it's her grandfather, uncle, or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, that organization was founded by her in honor of this gentleman. There's a website out there. They have what they call like campaigns. So you can go on the website, sign up for the campaign, and when they have their next campaign come around, then you'll be one of the people that they reach out to. They kind of operate like an EAP service as well. So they'll connect you with a provider and they pay for like 5 sessions for you. You know, so that's out there. And these are providers all over the United States. They have a directory on there. You can go on there and look as well. And just places to go. There's Therapy for Black Girls. That's a great directory platform. I think a lot of people always know about Psychology Today. It's just, you know, it's a mix, but that's one that you can go to as well and check that out. And there are other formats of therapy. I'll just recommend for people to do their research about it. You have platforms like Talkspace and BetterHelp. I don't have any, you know, I'm kind of neutral. I think people get the help where they need to get the help and based off what's affordable, right? So I'm not going to try to talk somebody out of using any of those services because they're doing something right for somebody because people are using them. And then I think in addition to that is also looking at some of the other helping professionals that we discussed. Yoga, like you got a great platform. Awesome. I need to get on the bus. Okay. But these things are, they can have the same impact, if not better. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to talk anybody out of seeking a particular resource. I think oftentimes what it is a combination of many of those things anyway. It's like when we talk about anxiety and depression, they say like the best treatment for that is like pharmacology or medication management and psychotherapy, right? There's studies that have determined that those two together are going to be like the best remedy for, you know, those particular things. But I think in addition to that, there are other things that you can explore that will just be as effective, right? Because everything is not I'm going to use the word as deep, but there are some things like anxiety that can really be worked through just through doing somatic work, doing body work, right? And you can do that through therapist.
Putting your hands in some dirt, gardening,
Absolutely.
getting some sun on your face, on your skin.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the things.
So just, you know, I think just doing your work to kind of educate yourself about what's out there is really the best place to start, to be quite honest with you, because there's so much, there really is, there's so much out there, I think, that people can explore and just trying different things. You never know, like you can't get into therapy because you can't afford it or whatever. There may be some other, you know, service out there that you can use that's going to still be helpful for you.
And I think it's important that we, like you said, it's not that deep. Like sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. And I tell people all the time, I will put on a YouTube video of babies laughing and I'll watch that for like 25, 30 minutes straight. And I promise you, you can't be sad, depressed, anxious when you sitting there watching fat, chubby babies just giggling, you know? So it doesn't, you know, you said 15 to 20 minutes, not 15 to $20. So whatever it is that we figure out to do, let's make sure that it's something that, you know, doesn't cost an arm and a leg, and it's something that you can do on a regular basis. That's why I hate that people self-care on getting massages and going on vacations. That's not self-care, you know.
That's not, yeah. And that's like what I addressed in my talk is that somehow we've equated self-care to money. There are other resources that cost us our time, right? That's a resource too. Like once you spend it, you can't get that back either. So why doesn't it have that same value? So that self-care wheel has a ton of stuff on there that's just free, just things that you probably wouldn't think about. You wouldn't put it in the category of self-care because we again attach self-care to a dollar amount, and it doesn't have to be that. I tell you, I have these petunias in my yard. I'm not a gardener, but I'm working on it. I'm seriously working on this thing. So a couple of weeks ago, my petunias about gone. Like I about killed them because they it rained, and I thought it rained so much, they got enough. And the only thing I remember when I picked them up, I went to the nursery, and the gentleman that was taking care of the petunias, he just had the water hose on him, and he just had the water hose on that one plant. And I was like, you can't need that much water. My goodness, you know. So I'm thinking it rained so much, they're good. I didn't pay them no attention for 2 days. I went out there, they were so limp. Oh,
Oh,
they were
I'm
terrible.
telling you, oh my God.
I'm telling you, they was about out of here. They was about gone. Well, I got on YouTube, found this man that had these nice, like his petunias look like a globe. He had his petunias, and he was talking about how you like trim them back, right? So I trimmed them back, and I started watering them. The next day, they looked so much better. The very next day, they just kind of got a little bit of life in them. And so for me, this is outside of like getting up and having my quiet time in the morning. This is one of the first things that I do in the morning when I come downstairs. As I go and I fill my little water bucket up, I go out there. I take time to take my petunias down. I sit them on the steps. I water them. I let them sit out there for a little bit, and I, come in here, get my coffee ready, and I have it timed that my coffee is brewing, and I go back out there, the water has drained out, I can put them back up. And it's just, when I walked outside this morning, I thought, this is life, because that breeze just felt like everything, right? I didn't have to do much, you
Spend a
know what I
red
mean?
dime.
Yeah, it's just that connection to something that I've seen almost be gone. Right. And by my own neglect, right, that I'm just like, I care so much for them plants now, like they're my babies. I'm not even lying. I'll probably take better care of them than I take care of my kids now, because I'm just like,
Right.
I am on those plants. Like, now vegetable, I ain't got the vegetables down yet, but those petunias, I'm on it every day.
Working on the vegetables. I'm gonna have to see you a picture of my garden boxes out back
Wait,
now.
honey, how about you just come over here and get me all the way together? Because I listen here, that little piece of garden I got back there, she's struggling. But I'm
Well,
gonna get it together.
last year my garden wasn't much of anything, but this year I'm doing okay. My green leafy
Okay.
vegetables, the birds keep eating them because I haven't covered yet.
Mm-hmm.
But my potatoes are doing pretty good. I got some
Okay.
potatoes coming in. And then there's some stuff growing. I don't know what it is, child, because it's left over from last year. So because the weather has been so mild, things have been
Mm-hmm.
growing and sprouting. So I'm gonna have to go harvest it and just be surprised. I don't know.
And
It
just
might be
see
a
exactly and
cucumber,
see
it might
what's
be
going
an
on.
eggplant, it might be a
Yeah.
tomato. I don't know what's in there, child. But
But you see, a pack of seeds and 99 cents, $1.99, right? If that costs you anything, to put that and go to the Dollar Tree selling potting soil, you know what I mean? Throw some
listen, let me tell
seeds
you
in them.
something. If people really just pay attention, the library will give you free seeds if you have a library
They
card.
do. They do. Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's something so simple, right? And it
Right.
becomes it becomes bigger than you. And that may sound like a seed, but it becomes bigger than you, really. And that would be another point, is being able to pay attention to things outside of yourself. And sometimes people are so dysfunctional in their energy that we connect to that it makes us sick too. Is just figuring out, what can we bring life to? What can we put our hands in to bring life to? Simple things.
And it can all be so simple, and yet we make it hard. What's that song? Miss decoding the lyrics.
Is it Lauren Hill? Lauren
Lord
Hill.
Hill. You know, we're gonna continue this conversation at one point.
Absolutely.
I really want it to be, in your physical space, and I want, to gather a bunch of us together so that we can talk about all
Of
things
course.
health and wellness and mental health and physical, emotional, spiritual health because it ties in. But before we wrap up, I really want you to tell the people how they can get in contact with you, how they can reach out to you, your social media platforms, if someone's interested in signing up to see one of your therapists in your practice,
Okay.
or just if they want to know more about who and how you are.
Okay. All right. So, again, the name of my practice is Renewal Counseling, and we are on all social media platforms. So, on Facebook, you can just type that in, Renewal Life Counseling. On Instagram, it's Renewal Life underscore RLC. On Twitter, it's Renewal underscore Life RLC or LLC. I think it's LLC actually. So on all of those, the phone number is 864-416-4560, and you can reach us via email at info@renewallifecounseling.com. The website is the namesake as well, renewallifecounseling.com, and you can get a lot of information off the website, be able to contact us there. We have a page called The Starting Point that basically takes you through like from beginning to end, really, in terms of how to get started in therapy. And there's a resource page, has a lot of great information there if you are interested in just kind of doing some research. Our referral list is on there. So again, if we don't have a particular specialty, I guess, that matches with your particular concern, you can check out that referral list or just send us a contact, and we'll try to help you out as best we can. There's a blog on there too, so you can go on there and check out some things that I've written, maybe helpful. I don't know, but yeah.
It's going to be helpful because you Jen's here tonight. And as I'm talking to you and listening to you, I'm like, oh, I miss her. We haven't talked in forever.
I know. It has been a minute. I'll tell you, this is one thing that I don't know, I've brought around to one of my contractors. She sent me a text message a couple of weeks ago, and she said she was following up with me about it because I didn't text back, and in my mind I was like, well, there wasn't a question, so I was just kind of like, okay, I got the information, I received it, but it really kind of brought to the forefront of another thing for me to work on is just staying connected with people, that how important that is. It's not always about me, right? It's just about taking care of those relationships that are important to you. So for sure, we definitely need to stay connected, and as soon as we can get in the office and have a little powwow, we definitely need to do that for sure.
Definitely will. And one thing about me, you might not hear from me for 2-3 months, but I'm gonna reach out for some. I'm gonna reach out.
I know.
I'm gonna call.
I
I'm
know.
gonna text. Be like, hey, honey, child, I don't want nothing. Just saying hi.
Right,
That's
right.
what I do. That's the energy. I think that is part of my ministry, is just staying connected and reaching out and connecting other people. And I'm so thankful and grateful that you and I have gotten connected. And I'm grateful that you took time out of your day to come and chat with me. You could have been
Of
anywhere in the
course.
whole wide world, and you chose to hang out with me for the past hour and 30 minutes. And I'm truly
Hey,
humble, truly grateful for you and for anybody who's watching this on the playback. I appreciate you guys. I'm thankful for you. I always like to wrap up my yoga classes and my wellness sessions and my mindfulness sessions with I want you guys to remember to think good thoughts and say good words and do good things. Until
um,
next week, 8:30 p.m. It's Heart Work with Toya and my dope ass friends. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Tamara, thank you so much, honey child. I love
absolutely.
you. And
Love you too.
we gonna talk because I got some stuff coming up and I need you to be a part of
Oh,
it. We gonna definitely talk.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Look, I don't even know what it is, but I'm with it.
I know. And that's what I love about my friends. Y'all so dope. When I say I got something going on, y'all be like, bet, I'm there. Don't even know what I'm talking about.
That's how we do.
Gonna send you the recording. And I'm gonna post this as soon as me and my computer, get intimate and we make up from whatever disagreement we've been having. We're gonna go ahead and make that work. But again, thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I will definitely be reaching out to you soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
Have a good night.
You too.